listening to Sports Talk 916 with Greg Bull and Coach Greg Veroza.
If you'd like to participate in the show, there are a couple of ways to do it. If you want to contact us on Twitter, use the show's Twitter address, which is @SportsTalk916. For Greg B, go to @MrChief916. And for me, Coach Greg, it's @Greg Veroza. And Veroza is VAROZZA. And if you want to chat live with us, the best place to go is go to the Mixler page and hit chat. There you'll see all of us chatting together as the show goes on.
All right, what is up, Facebook land, Sports Talk 916 land? It is episode 212.
Holy cow.
Happy Father's Day. You may recognize that voice who just said holy cow off mic. That is Coach, let me phrase that. That is Captain Greg Veroza. He is now the captain of the SS Sports Talk 916. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. You know, and you were joking about being on the DL, but that's actually how I felt because I listened to pretty much every show, and you're still a part of it, but you're not really a part of it. And that's what they talk about when guys are on the DL, that they're a part of the team, but not really part of it. And that's kind of how I felt. I felt a little left out there for a while.
Yeah, I got a call, let's say Tuesday, I think it was, from the team doctors. They're like, hey, Veroza's almost back. He's just got to get fitted.
Thursday was official.
Thursday was the official, and then and you're back.
Yeah.
So, let's just jump into how things are going. So you had a surgery. It was 6 weeks ago?
April 20th.
April 20th. So
I'll never forget. You know, I won't
easy.
forget 420.
Right, never. You have a whole new meaning.
That's right.
So walk us through it. So last time we talked to you was right before the surgery.
Right. So I had an infection for about 4 years in my foot. And it had been off and on. It'd go away and come back. And mid-March, mid-March, they decided to make the move and get rid of the infection altogether. And so on April 20th, I went in, had surgery. They removed my left leg or left foot about halfway up the calf. And the surgery went fine. I was in very little pain, which really surprised me. Only had pain meds for a week.
So you have extras?
I have extras.
Yeah. Bring them.
And it'll cost you.
That's fine. Bring them.
And the doctors were real pleased with how things went, how fast I was recovering. I was in the hospital about 4 days.
Yeah, I was planning on coming to visit you, and you're like, I'm going home today. I'm like, cool. Don't got to drive all the way to fucking Roseville.
Right. But you never came over and visit me.
Well, it's because your mom scares me.
My mom scares you?
Yeah,
she's 87 and about 4 foot nothing.
Yeah, but she seems feisty.
She'll kick your ass.
Right, exactly. James Hines says peg leg in the house.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, stretch. So went through basically some healing. Took about 6 weeks to get the staples out. Spent a lot of time watching really shitty TV in the mornings and during the afternoons. Watched a lot of baseball. Watched every Giants loss that happened between April 20th and pretty much now.
In case you haven't noticed on our agenda today, there's not one fucking thing about the Giants because they are...
The only thing to say... Well, I can talk about the Giants a little later, too.
Yeah.
I had staples removed on 6 weeks to the day.
Nice.
And then just had to wait for Kaiser to fit everything. Ended up getting my prosthetic on Thursday, and I was kind of nervous, thinking about, am I going to be able to walk? Is it going to be a pain in the butt? Am I going to have to relearn everything? And I put it on pretty much and got up and started walking.
Yeah, you posted a video on Facebook.
Yeah.
Everything looked pretty good.
And I had it on for about 10 minutes. About 20 minutes. They had done some adjustments, so that's not really the first walking I had done. It's kind of the second or third. The first time I had a hold of the little arm rails that they had, squeezing and fighting it.
Terrified all to hell.
Yeah, and I got about halfway down the walkway, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't need this. So I took my hands off, and the guy who does the prosthetic was like, oh, my God, that's awesome.
Nice.
So, funny little story. I got everything done. We left the prosthetics place and went over to your buddy, Cafe Lumiere for breakfast.
Nice.
Yeah. He said to say hi, by the way.
Awesome.
Turned my mom onto the stuffed hash browns.
Aren't those fucking to die for, dude?
Oh, God.
So good.
So I'm walking out, and I start tripping, and I'm, like, falling forward. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I look down.
You caught the rug.
No, I'm walking on the sidewalk.
Oh.
I look down, and my foot is at 45-degree angle of my other foot.
It just spun?
Well, what happens is I guess the stump actually shrinks after it's been in the prosthetic a little while. So in the hour and a half that it had been in there, it shrunk enough to where the prosthetic was moving around. So I had to go back and get some socks and stuff that they put on it. But it was kind of freaky. Even with a fake foot, you look down and your foot's at 45-degree angle. You're like, it's not supposed to be that way.
I broke my leg. Shit,
Yeah, right.
I broke my foot.
So, but no, it's been a lot easier than I thought. And then again, a lot harder than I thought. You know, I made the decision to completely go positive and not look back and not dwell on anything. And I think that's really what's made it the easiest. The hard part is just the downtime. You know, I'm used to going around and going out and doing stuff and being active, and to sit in the house for 6 weeks just sucks. It's no fun at all.
That had to be tough.
Yeah.
I will give you this though. I will say this. Your, like you said, your positivity, your upbeat attitude from the jump. I think I was more upset and nervous when you told me that was the route you were going than you were. I was like, damn, that's going to suck. Like, how are you going to pull that off? And you're, I'm going to win pirate contests, and I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, well, fuck. If Greg's going to be that upbeat about it, then, you know, we don't have a choice not to be.
Right. And that's part of what my plan was. And the other part is,
TJ says, welcome back.
Thanks, TJ. Thanks for filling in, by the way. I have 250 kids that I deal with on a daily basis. And I always tell them you have to deal with the cards that are handed to you. You can't say what if, and you can't dwell on what's going on. You have to move forward. And for me to have dwelled on it and felt sorry for myself would have been hypocritical to those kids. The other thing is I have she's now 15, year-old girl that had her leg amputated at the knee.
Up over there.
I am a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a little emotional.
Yeah.
You're kind of out of the shot.
Yeah, good.
Keep going.
So this 15-year-old girl, Alex Henry, had her leg amputated at the knee.
Okay.
And she, by now, is already, it's been 2 years, a little over 2 years. She's back swimming full-time. She's riding horses. She's done triathlons.
Damn.
She's been pretty busy. So I kind of felt like I couldn't get shown up by a 15-year-old girl. I couldn't handle it worse than she did. So,
right.
You know, that whole thing was set. And I think the ultimate was I talked to my little sister who's a cop, and usually is the one that bitches me out for being a fuck up when I fuck up.
Right.
They basically said, good, go for it. You'll get your life back. And I won't have to use a scooter. I won't be in a boot. A lot of other things. So I just decided feeling sorry for myself and having shitty attitudes is not going to make me feel any better. So
when's the first time you're going to hop back in the pool and just kind of just feel that again? Because I
haven't been in the water in over 2 years.
I would say even with your boot and the infection and stuff like that, you couldn't be near it. So
No.
Are you looking forward to that first day when you feel that water splash on you again?
Yeah. I have to learn how to, navigate around the pool deck because I can't get in the water with this. So
right.
I have to take it off. So that's down the road. I'm actually looking forward to getting back in the gym. I haven't been in the gym in 3 years.
Yeah.
And just getting a sweat on and getting some activity and being able to walk more than 100 feet without getting tired.
Right.
I had to relearn how I can walk, but I haven't used those muscles very much.
Right.
And so if I stand too long, both my legs get a little tired. But again, it's all a process, and it's amazing when you have something like this happen. The number of things you see on TV or around you that are similar. And there was a thing on ESPN the day before I went in to get my prosthetic, and it was about a hockey player. And he'd had a heart attack on the ice and was unconscious for 82 minutes.
Damn.
No heartbeat, no breathing. Took him to the hospital. They got him a couple surgeries. They got him back, to the living. After about 3 weeks, he kind of came out of his little coma, and they were worried about brain damage, but everything was fine.
Nice.
But he did develop infection in his foot from lack of circulation. So about 3/4 of the way through the piece, they showed that he had his foot amputated, left foot, same foot that I have, right about at the same spot. The very last scene was him in full hockey gear on the ice, taking slap shots at a goalie.
Nice.
So, it's examples like that say, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
And so that's what I'm going to do, if not more.
Sweet. Well,
I would say I'll be doing Tough Mudders with you in the near future, but fuck that. I don't want to do it.
let me tell you something about. It's funny you say that because we did Tough Mudder last weekend,
or Spartan races or whatever the hell.
and then the weekend before that we did Spartan race, and there was a dude out there with a full prosthetic, like up to like mid thigh.
Oh yeah.
And he was blowing by us on the trails, and he was up and over the walls faster than I can get over him, and dude was a beast. And and at first I didn't see him, and I just hear like clank, clank, clank down. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I turned around, and this dude's just normal step and then like a swing step, and I'm just like, damn, dude, you're a monster. There's no way I could do that.
Well, and I was watching. I don't watch this very often, but when there's nothing else on, American Ninja Warrior,
right?
And there was a dude on there that tried to go through
with one leg. He didn't even wear his prosthetic.
No,
right?
He did wear his prosthetic.
Because there was a guy that did it without it too.
No, he did it. This guy did it with it, and he made it through like the first 3 obstacles before his leg just didn't. And
it was one of the ones where he had to like step fast or whatever. Yeah. I remember that guy.
So
pretty cool.
So anyway, I'm back better than ever, and I'm bionic now.
Yes, you are. Superman.
Yeah.
Let's see. You mentioned Tough Mudder. There's a new blog up on sports.916.com about our Tough Mudder experience. It's a lot different from Spartan Race. I had more fun doing it than Spartan Race just because there's no time element. You don't have that. It's not a race. It's more of a challenge.
Oh, okay.
And the obstacles, some of them are bigger and crazy.
Now, does Tough Mudder have the electronic buzzed water?
Yes.
Fuck that.
So leading up to that, there was 2 other elements of an obstacle that
what is
were.
That? What keeps going on? Is that my?
It's my email, my work email.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 other obstacles that give you this really crazy element. One of them they call Snot Rocket.
Snot Rocket.
And you go into like this neck deep pond, and then you go under these barrels and under this chain link fence, and you're in this like little cage. And then, best way to explain it is, those black corrugated rain tubes that you put like on your gutter and it diverts water wherever you need it to go.
Uh-huh.
They have giant ones that you can fit in.
Okay.
And they're at like a 60-degree angle, and they're probably 10 feet tall.
Okay.
And you have to climb up the inside of them. From underwater, you have to get in and like climb up. There's a window cut in it so you can see, and there's like holes on both sides. Well, I'm so wide that I can't climb like a ladder. So I have to do like one arm, whatever. As you're going up it, it's like hot because they're black in the sun. It's claustrophobic.
Right.
And at the top, they have fire hoses dumping water down the tubes.
Screw that.
So you're climbing, you're just getting flooded with water trying to find these grips. You look up, it's like being waterboarded.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy. And then the other one is called Arctic Enema.
Yeah, I was waiting for Arctic Enema Cam, but I never saw it.
Yeah, fuck that. Maybe I'll do it in Sonoma. But it's a pool about as long as this room,
mm-hmm.
and you go up this ladder, and you're probably about 8-9 feet above the ground, about 5 feet above the water, and you slide down again those big black tubes. You slide down it, but the angle they have it set at, you can't plant your feet to prevent going under the water. That's just the angle is just like ploop, you're under.
Right.
Well, they say that over the course of the day, they dump anywhere between 14 to 20,000 pounds of ice in this pool. They're constantly just slicing bags of ice open and dumping it in this water.
Oh, shit.
So I reached my hand in thinking, it can't be that cold. I'll just test it. The second my hand hit the water, it started cramping. And that was standing outside of it. Just like...
Before you've gone through it.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck that. So we get in there. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Thanks, TJ. TJ said he likes my Toon Squad jersey. Hit the water, you go under, instantly your body just cramps, like pain, and then you have no air in your system whatsoever. So you come up and you're like gasping for air because it sucks the air out of your lungs, right?
Oh, yeah. And
then you're standing there trying to catch your breath, but you're freezing from the waist down. And then there's a chain link fence about, this is the surface of the water, it's about yay high above the water.
Okay.
And then there's a wall that goes a foot under the water. So you have to re-submerge, go under, find the wall, and pull yourself out to get out of the pool. So you're standing there freezing, like, I need to catch my breath, but then you're like, I need to get back under the water. So me having long arms, I'm like, okay, I'll just hold on to the fence, and then I'll reach under, grab the wall, and pull myself through. When I reached for the wall, I missed, and my hand came off the fence. So now I'm in, like, no man's land. I start to panic. Finally, I feel the wall, pull myself out. My feet were numb. My hands were numb. I got out, and I had to literally, like, run circles to get blood flow again. It was terrible. But I will do that back to back to back to back 10 times over before I ever do electroshock therapy ever again. When did you do electroshock therapy? At the end of the race. Last obstacle, you have to go through it. If you're a first-time mudder, you have to do the electroshock therapy as like a rite of passage. Every other race in the future, you don't have to do it.
So what is it?
So it's probably double the length of the room.
Okay, so about 20 feet.
And it's maybe longer than that. Maybe it's like 25, 30 feet. And it's like this big metal frame, and there's wires hanging down. And there's probably a good 700 to 1,000 wires. Like, you can't get through it without touching them. And there's a guy standing behind it with a hose, spraying everyone down. There's a sprinkler on top of it that's fanning water back and forth the whole time. And then there's mud and hay that you have to go over, whatever, and you just run through it. Well, I think it's like a rotating current. I think it starts at one end and goes down and then starts over and goes down because not every cord zaps you.
Oh, okay.
So you could probably go through a good 10 feet and you're like, oh, I'm great. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run as fast as I can through this and just get it over with. So I'm running. I get a little hit. I'm like, oh, that sucked. I get over this hay bale and I'm getting ready to jump off the hay bale. I get hit in the shoulder. I feel it in my inner thigh on my right shoulder, inner left thigh. And I'm running full speed. It stopped me like if I was on a rope. Like I couldn't move. Just boom, stop. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I go through it and I get hit one more time. It sucked terribly, but I got through it. Sheena, on the other hand, got hit 6 times.
Oh, shit.
One of them, it hit her so hard that she blacked out. And she remembers being hit and then picking herself up out of the mud. She's face first in the mud.
Oh,
that's how hard it hit her.
God.
So she's like, okay, never again am I doing that shit. Right. But luckily we don't have to. So
that's good.
But man,
screw that.
Yeah.
You lost me at ice bath.
I would do the ice. I mean, it was refreshing, but it was fucking cold.
Oh no. Yeah, jumping in the Arctic Circle water is
well, it's no worse than jumping in the water at Tahoe. Yeah, making a swim in a pond at Tahoe. But yeah, that's Tough Mudder. It's fun. It's cool. Anyways, let's jump into sports stuff. We weren't going to talk about this at all because Keith has talked about it. He had Bobby Gerald on. Deuce and Mo had Bobby Gerald on. 1140's been talking about it.
When are we going to get Bobby Gerald on?
Well, it's kind of a dead horse now, right? But we weren't going to talk about the draft. TJ and I talked about the draft. We did a little bit of a mock last show. But there's been a shakeup.
Yeah.
So Boston and Philly have agreed to swap 1 and 3, and I'm sure there's going to be other pieces mentioned.
There's got to be something.
Monday.
Boston's got to get something.
Yeah,
else.
And I'm sure they're just going to get a ton of picks because that's what they always get. But Monday it'll be announced. It's already been reported that Fultz will be a Sixer. Joel Embiid yesterday, before the deal was announced, went on Twitter and posted a selfie in front of a locker that said Marquez Fultz on the locker already.
Wow!
So I don't know if that's just like a thing that they do, like when the players visit, they're like, "Hey, this is what it could look like if you're drafted by us."
Well,
whatever.
That could be, yeah.
But he put that out there. So the consensus is that Fultz will go 1. I still think Ball goes 2. I don't see the Lakers passing on Ball. Josh Jackson likely is going to go 3.
Boston likes that.
Danny
Boston
Ainge
likes
is
him.
enamored by the kid.
Yeah.
And then everyone starts panicking. Okay, what happens at 4? Does Phoenix take Fox at 4? There's no need for Fox to go to Phoenix. They have Bledsoe. They have that other young point guard they got last year. I think Tatum's going to go 4, and then the Kings are going to be able to land De'Aaron Fox at 5.
Even if something doesn't happen when it falls out that way, the Kings are going to get a good player. Kings are going to get a good player. They're going to get somebody that's going to be able to make an immediate impact.
TJ says it's just a future first rounder from Boston to Philly, or to Boston from Philly.
Oh, okay.
I imagine there's got to be more to it than that. I don't think 3 in this draft 3 is about as valuable as 1. So.
Yeah.
But there's that, and then there's been a lot of speculation that. Oh, another thing too is Fox declined to go work out for Phoenix. He declined him, so I don't think that would be.
And he wants to be a King. He wants to come to Sacramento.
He wants to be a King so bad,
which is
amazing.
Weird.
It's
weird.
kind of weird, right? So, what are your thoughts on the draft? I mean, what are your thoughts on that trade?
I'm not surprised. You've been hearing rumblings about it for a couple of weeks now that they wanted to do something and that they were really enamored with Fultz and they were going to try to move up. Boston, I think everybody had penciled Fultz into Boston, but they got Isaiah.
See, I thought they were going to take Fultz and Isaiah was the odd man out.
I don't think so. I think they want Isaiah. I think they like him. He's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
He's a good locker room guy. I'm still not sold on him as a leader for the team.
Right. And
I'm still not sold on him as a championship contending point guard.
True.
He scores a lot of points, but if your point guard's scoring 50 points,
that means others aren't.
That means others aren't getting the ball.
Right.
And, other than, and I think you take Steph Curry out of this situation because he's not really a true point guard, although he plays that position. I don't think there's ever been a score first point guard that's won an NBA championship. It's kind of like a run first quarterback. There's really hasn't been a run first quarterback that's won the Super Bowl. Right. And I think it's the same thing with the shoot first point guards. Is it just doesn't work. It works good in the regular season, but when it comes to postseason, it just doesn't work.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a little sheet of paper because I forgot to tell you about your homework. Hold on. I gotta grab a pen real quick. You mentioned Steph Curry, and you mentioned how tough it's going to be for teams to basically build a roster around, that team. We're going to get to the Warriors here in a second too. But what we're going to do before we're done today is we're going to do a little bit of a NBA fantasy draft.
Okay.
The Warriors roster is off limits.
Okay.
In their current state. So assuming that everyone on the roster that just won the championship comes back next year and they don't make any changes.
Okay.
What we're going to do by the end of the show is we're going to build a team of 7 players from anyone in the NBA to beat the Warriors and see if it can be done. Because I'm convinced that even if you built a super team, the chemistry and everything the Warriors have, they're going to be hard to beat.
Right.
So, and we'll talk about the Warriors and the super team and everything like that here in a minute because, and Kings fans aren't going to like this, but I'm leaning more toward the defense of the Warriors and the super team title as opposed to wanting to bash them. So we'll get to that.
I've been on record as enjoying. I love the way the Warriors play. I love the makeup of the team. I love the way they play. It's as close to the 2000 to 2002 Kings as I've ever seen. And that was the Sports Illustrated cover saying this is the future of basketball. Mm-hmm. And somehow we got into this ISO ball, this 1-4 down as everybody's go-to play when you have to score a basket.
Yep.
And I just don't like it. So I got into a pretty good discussion with Jogonitis, and I just ended up bailing because it was getting boring. But I wanted the Warriors to win. As a Kings fan, I was pulling for the Warriors to win. And because I like the style that they play. And if more teams would play that style, I think basketball would be more enjoyable. Right now, it's, give the ball to Westbrook and watch him dribble and move and shoot and score.
Yep. And I was rooting for the Warriors in Game 4 simply for the fact that I wanted the series to end. I would have loved to somehow seen Cleveland come back from a 3-0 deficit and win the series just to stick it to the Warriors fans, like, haha, you lost another big lead. But to me, this thing was so boring. The series was so boring, and the playoffs were so boring. I just wanted it over. I was tired of it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this.
But you were not an anomaly on that, because this is one of the highest rated finals ever. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the call to not have super teams is not working,
right? Because
people wanted to watch the Warriors and LeBron.
Yep.
And yeah, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know either. But let's talk about this. Is it safe to say? So this Warriors team went 73-9 last year. They had they fumbled at the end essentially. They come back this year. They add Durant, which we'll get to in a moment. Then they go 16-1 in the playoffs. Is this team and this recent run of the Warriors, 2 championships in 3 years, are they putting themselves at the top of the list as one of the best ever? I mean, are they there yet? Or
I think one of the best. I don't think the best. I think this is one of the best 3-year runs, because realistically, they should have won last year. They should have won with the Draymond Green suspension, with Steph Curry being injured. They were the better team. They should have won last year too.
I agree.
But you have to look at, they've won 2 in the last 3 years, but the Celtics in the 60s won, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
Right.
The Lakers in the 80s, the Spurs over the long run. I don't think it's like saying that the Giants have been a dynasty for the last, since 2010. I think it's there. I think they have it set up to have a good long run, because Durant's the kind of guy, he's made enough money to where he's willing to take a little bit less to keep some of those other guys there. They're going to have those guys together for another 3 or 4 years. I think the thing that they have going for them is the NBA has never been so bad.
Right.
I think this is one of the worst stretches of the NBA that I've ever seen. There's no parity. There's no parity. There's nobody that you go, I gotta see him when he comes into town.
Most of the time when that guy comes to town, he's gonna rest.
Right.
And that's because there's no other good teams in the league that they have to win against.
Right. So there's no teams that you get that buzz of, oh shit, so and so's coming into town tonight. I got to be at the game.
Right.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, ooh, look at you with Zima.
You want a Zima?
Where the hell did you get Zimas?
They got re-released.
Did they really?
For 4th of July weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't had one of these since you were
10.
Like 3 years before you were born.
No.
What year were you born?
86.
Probably 83 is about the last time I had a Zima.
They got re-released. They came out just for 4th of July. And I haven't had one since I snuck them out of my parents' fridge in like 95.
But there's not that draw to the NBA. It's not a good product right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the style of basketball that everybody wants to play. And I think that a team like the Warriors, who pass the ball, how many times when you're watching the Cavaliers do you go, holy shit, look at what they just did?
Well, look at Game 4 when they hit 26 3-pointers.
Yeah.
That ball got moved around so quick. They almost needed to do like a NBA Jam like ball trail.
Right.
Because that thing was like zipping around the court. You're like, who the hell has it now?
Right.
And then LeBron with his fake pass, he's like throwing his fake passes as hard as he throws a real pass. You literally were like, oh wait, he still has it.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was super team or not, that was fundamental basketball.
Right.
And that was fun to watch. And a lot of people go, well, the WNBA sucks because all they do is play fundamental basketball, and fundamental basketball ruins it's not what basketball is anymore.
No.
But here's the deal. look at Game 4 when the Cavs were playing. Aside from shooting the 3-pointers many times they did, that's not fundamental.
Right.
But the passing, the spacing, the rotations on defense, everything they did in that game was as fundamental as you can basically get. Right. And that was one of the most exciting basketball games of the entire season.
You know, there's nothing more exciting than having the ball move around the top and all of a sudden somebody do a backdoor cut, get a pass, zip to them right under the basket, and score. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to watch. And it's not fun to watch somebody bounce the ball 25 times for 14 seconds.
And then start your
and
play.
then start the play.
Yeah.
It's just not. So I think the NBA's got a big problem here. It's not an enjoyable product right now. And the only time it is, and the ratings reflect it, is the Warriors playing in the finals. Because you can't say people didn't like it.
So James says they need to constrict 4 teams. TJ says which 4? Like, that would be a really tough. You'd have to look at statistics.
Yeah, but you constrict 4 teams. You're basically taking 4 teams worth of really shitty players.
Not only that, though. Let's say we take ones that have like arena situation. Well, even let's just say one of them was the Bucks, right? The Bucks up until recently had arena constraints, and they weren't going to have a new arena. They were threatening to move. So let's say instead of moving the Bucks to Seattle. And all this is obviously hypothetical because they have their arena coming now. And you go, we're going to break them up. Okay, well, are you going to do a fantasy draft where you get rid of the 4 bottom teams and then the next 4 teams up can have the first dibs at those players like an expansion draft and then the rest get dispersed out? Or do those guys just get released to free agency? Because if you do that, then Giannis Antetokounmpo is just going to sign with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Or, they're going to sign with Golden State. That's not going to fix anything.
I think the problem is, and this is going to open up a whole new can of worms that I'm not sure we want to go to. I think it all goes back to one and dones. I think it all goes back to one and dones that, those guys get in, they play college basketball for a year, but it's like AAU basketball. College basketball's turned into AAU basketball.
There's no structure.
There's no structure. It's here's the ball. We'll run a couple of plays, but you're trying to get into the NBA. We're going to let you score 30.
Now? Let me ask you this though: do you think even more so than one and dones that the blame falls more heavily on the D League?
No,
because the D League is saturated full of players. To me, the D League is just a money machine. And it's not even a big money machine. It's just another way for teams to make money.
Right.
And rehab players. Because let's be real. Look at the Bighorns. Aside from the draft picks they got this year with the Kings, it's full of scrub players that are never going to make the NBA.
Right. Well,
what they need to do is they need to expand the draft, add a 3rd round into the draft, and if you're taking mid-second or 3rd round, you go to the D League and you play a year or two. It's kind of like baseball's minor league system. You don't just throw them up and sit them on the bench.
But it's not those guys.
Develop your players. It's the developmental league, and those guys aren't developing.
But those aren't the guys that are having the major effect on the NBA play. Mm-mm. It's the lottery picks. It's how many lottery picks last year were good? Ow!
Oh, damn it!
How many lottery picks actually made a contribution to their team?
I'd have to look at the draft again. Last year's draft was terrible.
Very few. So I think, and I blame, part of the blame needs to go on the players' union because they want to get as many players in there as they can, which is kind of stupid. I think they should change their approach, but they need to do what the NFL does. You can't play in the league until you're, been in college for 3 years, or your high school class has been out of.
What about this then? What about if you expand on what I was saying? If you are a 1 and done or a 2 and done, you have to go play 2 years in the D League before you can be on the NBA
but are
roster.
you going to pay somebody $20 million a year to go play in the D League?
Why not
do that? You're not going to do that. They're not going to.
They don't get $20 million a year.
Well,
anymore.
whatever the first round picks are getting, whatever a lottery pick's getting,
they have to do something though that's going to develop some
right.
players.
No, I agree with you. If they can't get rid of the 1 and done, then that's what they're going to have to do.
What if you look at it from a broader perspective too, though? Like, let's say the Kings had their D League roster, right, full of Joe Nobodies, but there's some potential there. That's why they're at least in the D League, right? And then you draft a kid who, let's just say, a 1 and done like Cousins, right?
He wasn't a one and done.
Who's the one and done?
Thomas Robinson.
Let's just say Cousins, just for lack of a better thing, right? So you send Cousins down, and you go, okay, you're a one and done. You're gonna play 2 years in the D League. If you bring a caliber player down there like that, you have a better chance of that guy. Cousins is a bad example for what I'm about to say, but making the rest of that roster better and playing at a higher level. Right. And then now, instead of just having your lotto pick, you may have 2 or 3 guys that fed off of that are now ready to move up. And then the NBA isn't as thin talent-wise because, let's face it, anything more than 7 people on a roster, the last 7 on the bench, except for maybe Golden State where they're stacking veterans, and San Antonio, those guys are D-leaguers at best anyway.
I'd say probably a couple of starters on every team are D-leaguers at best.
So if you can find a way to develop a player to where you have an actual roster of substantial players, the NBA isn't as thinned out and the talent pool isn't as shitty.
Right.
TJ says, I think the D-League should be used as real minor league system where raw players can develop for a year or 2 until they're ready for the big show.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Expand the draft.
So you know what you could do, and I heard somebody say this the other day, is do what baseball does. So you can draft somebody right out of high school. Mm-hmm. If they don't sign after high school, then you can't draft them again until they're juniors.
Right.
And you take those high school kids and you throw them into the D-League. You take those other kids that are a little, that maybe have played for 3 years in college that still need a little bit of work, and you throw them in the D-League. You have to do something where these guys are getting more development throughout the year. And I've heard somebody say, well, they'll just go to Europe. Well, fine. Go to Europe, learn how to play basketball, and come back. But there has to be something. This one-and-done thing is killing the NBA. I really think it is.
What about this? So Kevin Durant, let's just say for lack of a better term, last season goes and gets, let's just say easy. Yeah, they're still terrible.
That's nasty.
Easy numbers. Let's just say he gets 4 years, $10 million from the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's going to get paid a fucking truckload more than that, but just for easy math, the Warriors offer him $410. Now, that's going to stack the Warriors roster, right? What if there's a way that the NBA puts in a clause that says, okay, well, you're going to get $410 from the Warriors, but, and we could call it like a competitive clause. We could call it a,
salary cap,
the non-super team clause, whatever the hell you want to call it. But teams in the same division, like let's say it's a Western Conference thing only, right? So the Warriors offer him $410. They're the number 1 team in the league in the West. The bottom 5 teams, or hell, any team outside of the playoff teams can offer him more money. So let's say the Kings can come in and say, well, we're going to give you $415, but the money that the Warriors offered him, the $410, is all that counts against the Kings salary cap. So they can pay more money to him. He gets more money in his pocket, but the Kings don't get penalized for having to overpay.
Right. Right.
Now the players, they're going to get paid more. That's going to make them happy. But then that gives an opportunity to spread out the wealth and the talent pool a little bit more.
It's not a bad idea.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
So yeah. So
but Durant's a bad example because he's going to go. He's going to go where he has a chance to win, and he's going to take less to go to where.
Right. But I'm saying before that situation, like Chris Paul, he's too far into his career. But I'm just saying, like someone. Yeah,
like no. I know what you're saying.
Where a team can offer more, but not be penalized for having to do so. A small market team, whatever.
Right.
Because then it's like, okay, well, now the Kings can bring in a high caliber player and still be able to bring in other players without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of something that allows the talent pool to get stretched because, I mean, up until this year,
well, there needs to be more talent.
The draft has been terrible.
There needs to be more talent. That's the problem. There's not enough talent, and
oh God, that's not good.
No, it's not good at all. I think I might take one more sip.
Part of the issue is the scouts and agents detail every booger eater that they have no problem getting drafted in the first round. So you make it like a baseball draft. I don't know. If you don't get drafted in the first round, then you can give up the draft slot, but you mandatorily must go back to college for 2 years, or at least can't be redrafted for 2 years. If you decide to go if you decide to go to Europe or the WNBA.
Or the WNBA.
Damn, James, that was a long run-on idea. But yeah, something has to be done to fix this. Now, let's talk about Kevin Durant. A lot of people are saying he took the easy way out.
So?
They're blaming him for going to a 73-9 team to win a championship.
Good for him.
Is it Durant's fault or is it the NBA's fault?
I don't think it's anybody's fault. So this is the argument I used when he signed, and I'm going to use it again. So let's say, let's use you as an example. Let's say that you got a radio gig on some little 5,000 watt. You know, you can only hear it within 3 miles of the
tower. It's like an 8-foot tower.
Yeah.
It's a little baby tower.
You know, you're doing a radio show and you're getting really good at it, and you're kicking ass. And then the number one station in town comes in and says, we want you to be part of our team. We want you to have a flagship show on our radio station, and we're going to pay you a boatload of money.
Okay.
Do you say no because I owe it to my little podunk radio station to get them to the top of the charts?
Not at all.
You don't at all. Anybody, and there's other guys in town. I mean, there's anybody. You take anybody who's working for the second or third station or whatever company in the world, and the number one company says, "Hey, we're going to make you a star. We're going to pay you a boatload of money. You're gonna see all the fruits of success. Come over and work from us." You're going to be stupid not to take it. So he was stupid. Obviously, they wanted him. Obviously, he was going to get the money that he wanted. He was going to be able to play where he wanted. He was going to better his life. I think that anybody who knocks him for taking that deal is being short-sighted. Yeah. It's kind of that, well, that's not fair. Well, every other team in the league had a shot to give him the same amount of money or more. It's just that the number one team came after him, and nobody's going to turn it down. I guarantee you that LeBron would not turn that money down and turn down that opportunity. There's nobody in the NBA that's going to go, oh, the Warriors want me. I don't want to be a part of that because they're too good. I just don't want to be a part of that, so I'm not going to take it.
Right. And the other argument that I'm tired of is, well, he should have stayed. He should have stayed in OKC. They were only 1 game away. They're only 5 minutes away. They could have rebuilt there. The thing is, you don't know what your management's going to do. You don't know what's going to happen.
No.
The second Durant was threatening to leave, they're like, "Oh, we're going to help you. We're going to rebuild the roster. We're going to get rid of Ibaka. Oh, we're going to bring in Oladipo. Yeah, because that's gonna entice KD to stay, right?
Right.
Victor Oladipo, good job.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of it. A lot of people brought up the Deion Sanders debate. Oh, well, Deion did it.
Again, Deion's
is backwards though. Deion won a Super Bowl and then went to another stacked team.
Right.
It's like,
so nobody's gonna turn that offer down. I just don't buy it that somebody's gonna turn that down.
Right. Let's talk about this. Let's do the lost my train of thought.
And the one more thought on that though is one of the guys that's the most outspoken about a quote super team is the one who started the whole fucking super team thing in the first place.
LeBron?
Yeah.
No, he didn't start it.
He didn't?
No, he said that Houston in '95 putting Drexler and Olajuwon together was one of them, and he said another team, Portland, putting some players together, and
no,
there was another one that started the super team revolution.
No, there's nobody that's gotten
Miami started.
There's nobody that's gotten together with their 2 other buddies to say, "Hey, let's go to Miami and let's win a championship."
TJ, I don't agree with you. TJ says Boston started it.
No,
the general manager built that team in Boston. No one thought to sign together. The big 3 didn't do that.
Yeah, there's a difference between a general manager and a team putting somebody together than a bunch of guys getting together and going, "Hey, why don't we do this? It'd be cool."
Yep. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh started the revolution.
Yeah.
And the NBA allowed it, which starts a problem. Now, before I talk about a potential new super team that could win, could really blow the NBA apart. I want to end this whole Jordan-LeBron debate because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing, oh, Jordan's better, or LeBron's better than Jordan because Jordan didn't play against Hall of Famers and superstars at one time.
Didn't?
A team with the caliber of talent at one time on a roster that LeBron played against.
Huh?
Yeah, so they're saying, like, yeah, he played against Barkley in the finals, but it was Barkley and Johnson and, you know, whatever, but it was never Curry and Clay and all these other guys.
He played against Malone and Stockton,
Right,
and they had a pretty
twice.
good team.
Yeah, and Peyton and Kemp and Shrimp, like all these other guys. But no, those aren't the same quality, apparently.
That's bullshit.
So let me ask you
That's
this,
people
though.
that don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
MJ was 6-0 in the finals.
Right.
Tim Duncan, 5-1.
Right.
Kobe, 5-2.
Right.
Magic, this one's a little bit tougher to swallow, 5-4.
But he played in 9 of them.
Right. Shaq, 4-1. Bird, 3-2. Hakeem, 2-0. Isaiah Thomas, not little IT, but the bad boy, 2-1. LeBron, 3-5. Sure, he's made a bunch of them, but he's lost more than he's won. How can you even fathom saying he's one of the best ever? Because simply based off of that,
I have another problem with that whole argument, and that is basketball's a team game.
yep.
You know, it's like saying Dan Marino's not as good of a quarterback as a lot of those other guys because he never won a Super Bowl.
Trent Dilfer's better than Dan Marino.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So
It's true, though.
well, that's true, but but you know, LeBron is probably one of the most dominant players for his era.
Yep.
I would put him in the mix as one of the top 10 players of all time. I don't think he can say he's the best player of all time.
Nope.
And again, being a little older, you need to go back to the 60s and look at Bill Russell. You need to look at Wilt Chamberlain. You need to look at some of those guys that played in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And, you know, LeBron's he's a physical specimen. He's a freak of nature.
Is it safe to say that LeBron is the new generation's Jordan? Like,
Absolutely.
You could say that?
Absolutely.
Would you say that he surpasses Kobe as far as that player? Because Kobe was
I think-
penciled in.
I
Or
think-
is that a different generation?
I think it's a different generation.
So Jordan ended in essentially the 90s up until 99 was really the last year Jordan had any relevance. That's when
Right.
it really went downhill.
Right.
Kobe was 96 through 2014, but I mean LeBron came in 03. So you could give Kobe the 2000s,
Yeah.
and then the teens has been LeBron.
Right.
I mean LeBron started coming up the ranks,
But
but-
there's always an overlap,
Right.
and that guy has to start below and work his way up. And I think in 2009, 2008, LeBron kind of
because that's when Kobe started his downward.
right, and that's
slope.
kind of when Kobe started going downhill, and LeBron surpassed him as the best player in the NBA.
Right.
You know, and now you're seeing LeBron getting a little bit older, and maybe KD is taking over that.
I do have a stat that's pretty freaking remarkable, though, in the NBA Finals from this year. So, with LeBron on the floor, he played 166 minutes in those 5 games. The Cavs were +6 in points.
Wow.
With LeBron off the court, he only sat for 26 minutes the entire Finals. Okay? Barely
Okay.
2 quarters. -25.
Oh shit.
If that doesn't tell you the impact that LeBron has on a team.
Oh, absolutely.
then,
I'm not
just saying
I'm not saying that he's not a great player. I'm not saying that he's not the best player right now in the NBA. What I'm saying is it's really hard. It's really hard to compare.
That's just a stat that blew my mind. When I read that, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, that is pretty.
+6 and then -25 in 26 minutes?
That's amazing.
Ridiculous.
That
So,
is amazing.
you want to do our super teams to beat?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
tough. I started looking at it, I'm like, damn, the NBA really is kind of that thin. And aside from just going Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland's roster right now.
Well, I mean, I think there's players you could take. There's Kyrie Irving. I would take in a
I don't have
heartbeat.
Kyrie on mine.
Well,
I mean, yeah, I could.
I mean,
I'm going to expand mine to 8.
I think the Greek Freak is somebody that would be on my list.
So here's what I have.
Okay.
At center, because I think he would just cause so many problems for the Warriors because they don't have a center, Rudy Gobert.
Yes.
He's gonna.
Well, they played him though.
Yeah, but
They
thing
played
is,
him,
though,
and he didn't do that much.
that's because he's on a team in Utah that really didn't. I mean, put him with a super team,
Yeah.
Where he doesn't have to do everything. Because
I don't think there's a big guy in the league because Draymond or whoever's going to be down there, Zaza,
Yeah, but then you put my power forward next to him of Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So now you have a twin tower down there. You put Kawhi Leonard on the wing at small forward.
Right.
You have LeBron at the 2.
Right.
And then I have Chris Paul at the 1.
Ooh.
And that's simply for the fact that when Paul plays on a good team, a really good team, not an overrated Clippers team, he facilitates very well. And he's a leader.
Yeah, I can't think of another facilitator in the league.
And then on my bench, I have Cousins, just because that's another big guy that Draymond has trouble with.
The problem is Draymond has his number, and it'll get him teched out.
They'll tech each other out.
Right.
So that's almost a wash. And then I would flip a coin between Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas, simply for the fact that Isaiah could come in and just light up the score on the bench. You get into the reserve role with Sean Livingston or their other the little point guard that they have. I can't even think of what his name is. And you put Isaiah Thomas out there in a reserve role. You're going to take Isaiah over Sean Livingston.
No Westbrook, no Harden.
I don't want either one of those guys because the ball stops with them.
Right.
All of these guys, although they're all bona fide scorers, aside from Harden, sure, Westbrook did get his triple-double for the season, which means he's passing the ball. But the thing is, he's not...
He did it.
He did that for him,
right,
simply
right.
for the record. He
right.
did not... That's not
Rondo
his style of
Rondo
play.
did the same thing the year before with the Kings.
Yep.
It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, and I may consider the Greek Freak just because. Can you imagine LeBron and the Freak next to each other on the court at the same time? Jesus Christ! It's tough though. It's really hard to put together.
But
a team like
what's
that.
really sad about that is we had to struggle to put 7 guys together.
Yeah.
Out of how many guys that play in the NBA?
Right.
Albeit
we did it quickly, but
still, you had
hard.
to struggle. It's not put together an offensive backfield that could beat the New England Patriots defense. Well, you can probably go 4 deep quarterbacks and come up with them right away. You can go probably 3 or 4 deep running backs and come up with them right away. You can go 5 or 6 deep wide receivers and tight ends and come up with them right away. You can't do that in the NBA because the talent is so bad.
Not only that, though, you gotta think about it this way. Just go back to the different era of NBA. Go back to the Jordan era. Give me a starting 5 that could beat this Warriors team if they're all in their prime.
Elijah Wan, Barkley. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a small forward. Probably David Robinson at big forward. Put Barkley at small forward.
Put Barkley at the 3? Holy shit.
Drexler at 2 and Jordan at
the point,
or even Isaiah or Stockton or Malone.
For me, I would go Olajuwon at 1. I would go David Robinson at the 4. I would probably go with like a Grant Hill at the 3. Before he got hurt, Grant Hill was one of the better players in the league. Jordan at the 2, and then Stockton at 1, and then off the bench you bring in like a Malone. Or
if you're going to be playing the Bulls, you can't have Jordan on both teams, so you put Drexler in there.
Yeah, you put Drexler. You could put, there's a whole laundry list of players, and look how much quicker we were able to come up with a list from that.
Yeah,
so it's a different era of basketball. You can't compare the two. I'm so tired of hearing. I'm really tired of hearing people. Oh, well, LeBron this and LeBron that versus Jordan. No, you can't. It's not the same game. It's not the game that we know it as. TJ says Grant Hill. Yes, that's one of the players in this league, in the history of the league, that him and Penny Hardaway. I would have loved to seen what those two guys could have done without the ankle and the knee injuries that they got. I mean, right. Grant Hill was what? So he came in the league in 94, and by 96, when they did the top 50 All-NBA team, like greatest team, I think he already had made the list.
Right.
Or he was like one of the top 5 right outside the 50 greatest of all time.
Right.
In 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And then his ankles just went to shit on him.
Right.
I would have loved to seen what Grant Hill could have done over a full career.
Absolutely.
Not to mention he got to play with one of the best jerseys ever created, with the horse with the fire behind it, with the exhaust pipes on the Pistons. God, I love that jersey. Yeah, it's just I'm really tired of the debate.
Here's another thing, and this going off topic a little bit, but did you see any of the 30 for 30 on the Lakers and Celtics?
Mm-mm.
So, I know it's nasty, huh?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You're looking for what if I told you, weren't you? You're looking for the 30 for 30.
You know what's funny is my daughter was in here playing with the sound. She's like, "What are those buttons?" So I was showing the soundboard, and to put the Hunter Strickland thing on there just so she can hear it, I took the 30 for 30 off. It was right there. Okay.
So one of the things that they showed was the McHale and Rambis fight from the finals in 83 or 84. And over the course of the whole finals, the whole thing, they showed how much more physical the NBA was back then. I mean, McHale basically clotheslined and tomahawk chopped Kurt Rambis, knocked him to the floor, knocked him into the third row of the stands, and got a technical.
Yeah, just a technical.
Nowadays, that's a 5-game suspension.
Yep.
So we're kind of wussifying the NBA.
Pussification of America.
Yeah, we're taking away a lot of the intimidation, a lot of the physicalness, which lends to guys playing more isolation basketball because they know if they drive into the basket, Jordan knew that he was going to get creamed.
Yep. Well, shit. When you have guys like you mentioned, McHale, hell, even Rodman. You put in a Moses Malone down there, those big.
Karl Malone?
Yeah, Karl Malone, Moses Malone. Even Ewing or Mutombo,
or Lambeer.
Yeah,
Lambeer was a badass.
You put any of those guys down there. Can you imagine the way LeBron cries about getting hit by a point guard?
Oh, he'd get killed.
I would pay to see that.
Yeah. So basketball's got a lot of problems.
It absolutely does.
It has a lot of problems.
Let's see. Anything else we want to discuss? We talked about the draft. We talked about the NBA and the status of it. We don't want to talk about baseball.
Except how bad Hunter Pence is right now.
Bold prediction, by the trade deadline, Hunter Pence is off the Giants roster.
I think he'll be benched first. He's too valuable as a clubhouse guy. He's the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah, but
that
soul has been sucked out of that team.
And he's the glue that puts that together.
He got married, and his life got sucked out of him.
Wow. I don't know if it sucked out the ability to play right field either. Did you see
that ball the other night in Colorado? Shit.
Oops, up. Ooh, it won't bite me. Yeah, he's a train wreck right now. I think he needs a little bit of time to regather himself. Yeah.
I mean, well, shit. And then you look at.
So I don't know. I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about Giants. Who do you think trade deadline's coming up? Who do you think stays and who do you think goes?
I think Cueto goes.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Pence goes.
Nobody's going to take Pence. Nobody's going to want Pence. He's not a useful player anymore.
Bill says, "Welcome to being an A's fan the last 5 to 7 years." Yeah, pretty much. The infield's safe. The entire infield is safe, except for maybe Nunez.
Even Belt.
Belt just got moved down the lineup today. They moved him down to the 7th hole, I think it is. I just think that they locked Belt up.
I think Nunez goes, and
Belt moved down to 5. I think
Nunez goes, and I think once Arroyo gets his hitting back and his confidence at the plate, he comes up, Nunez is gone.
I think Nunez is gone as well.
I mean, Arroyo's the future of that infield.
Yep, absolutely. And the other thing, too, is I think that back to Belt, I think they locked him up too early. They gave him that big contract too soon.
Yeah.
And he has too many holes. I mean, he's a big guy. He has too many holes in that swing.
Problem is he gets hot. When he's hot, he's one of the best players in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
When he's cold, he's one of the worst players.
He's me at the plate when he's cold. 6'5", skinny as shit, and can't hit. Like, I don't know. I think there's a mixed bag of AAA players that go as well.
Yeah. But I think they just play out the season. I think Cueto goes, get a couple draft picks or get a couple of prospects. And then I think you rebuild in free agency and trades next year. They got cap money.
Yeah.
They have the money to do it. They have the budget to do it.
I also do not bring Bumgarner back at all this season.
Probably not.
No, let him
Probably not.
recover. Make sure that shoulder's 100%. Let some of the young guys come up to see if you have.
Ty Block's doing great.
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably their best pitcher right now.
But you call Beatty up. You let Beatty pitch in the bigs. You see how he can do, and you see what kind of actual prospects you have, where you don't have to go spend 90% of your budget on a starting pitcher.
Yeah, and I think Moore's gone. I think Moore's got to be gone. He can't throw worth shit.
Kane's got to be gone too.
Kane's actually pitching really well.
Yeah, but Kane is so
really
fucking expensive.
Well, he's done this year. I mean, his contract's up this year.
Okay. Then
so they could. I think it's this year or next year.
You ride him out, though.
Yeah, you ride him out.
I wish Gorkys Fernandez would just lose his directions to the ballpark. He doesn't need to be cut.
Horrible.
Just let him go.
He's horrible.
But that's the thing. He reminds me so much of Gregor Blanco. Most of the time, you're like, this guy's a fucking, scab,
and then he comes through and hits a triple.
Scab on my dick. And then all of a sudden, he's like, 5 for 5 with 3 triples.
Right.
You're like, what the... Damn it, go away. We don't want to like you. And that's exactly how I felt about Blanco. It's like, I don't want to like you at all, yet you keep coming through in the clutch for us where I have to like you a little bit.
Right. So I think next year the team, I still think there's talent. It's a talent-laden team. I think you have 2 positions that you need to really focus on, 3 positions you need to focus on in free agency. You need a new right fielder, you need a new left fielder. Span is, if he can stay healthy, is a decent center fielder.
And I think you need a catcher. And I think you tell Posey you move your ass to first base.
But what do you do with Belt then?
You get rid of Belt. You find a way to get rid of Belt. You put Belt in left field. I don't care. I think you have to get Posey out behind the plate before it's too late. And the best time to do it, I think, right now is in a wash season. Bring up a young catcher. Let him catch the rest of the year. And
Nick Hundley's not doing bad, but he's not an all-star.
But Hundley's an old-ass man.
Yeah.
So you bring up a young guy. You see what you could do. I really wish they never got rid of fucking Susak. They still have Trevor Brown in the system. Bring Brown up. Brown caught great last year.
Yeah.
Let a catcher get familiar behind the plate so you could save Posey. I
don't think Posey wants to, though.
But at some point, someone needs to sit down with Posey and say, hey, look, you're one of the best, if not, the best hitters in the league. You have the ability to prolong your career tenfold by getting out of the squat.
Right. And what's his number one Achilles heel? His ankles.
Right. And not only that, he is fucking great at first base.
Yeah.
He has a fantastic glove, and he has the ability to command more out of the infield from first base than he would from behind the plate.
Yeah, but he handles the pitching staff better than any catcher in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but if you can groom a guy like Brown or another young catcher to come up and potentially do something similar, and you don't have to worry about Posey getting killed back there.
Yeah.
And I don't mean killed by getting ran over. I mean just the body breaking down.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Piazza. Piazza moved over to first after a number of years, but he did it way too late in his career.
Right.
Piazza probably could have played another 5 or 6 years had he got out of the squat earlier.
Right.
And there's a lot of players that say, a lot of catchers
so
that say they wish they would have.
Maybe you do trade Belt. Maybe you do trade Belt and try to get yourself a couple of outfielders or an outfielder.
Is anyone going to want Belt, though?
Somebody will.
An American League team?
Yeah, because then he could DH. But then, again, his strength is defense. I mean, that's why I wouldn't get rid of him, is because of his defense.
His defense at first is amazing.
Yeah. And his arm, I mean, he's got all the tools. He just doesn't have a consistent bat.
His bat is terrible.
Yeah.
The Phillies take Belt. I mean, I can see it.
Yeah.
The Phillies, they haven't had a first baseman since Howard. Man, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's really, really hard to determine what the direction is because, and I think a lot of it falls on Bochy because Bochy is so reliant on giving his veteran guys the ability to redeem themselves.
Right. So let me ask you
At
another.
what point does Bochy have to be considered to be looked at? I mean,
no, you don't get rid of Bochy at all.
But at some point, first of all, let me back that up a little bit. At what point do you look at Bochy's staff and go, "Hey, your hitting coach is a ball of dick.
Bam Bam Mullins needs to go.
He needs to have been gone 3 years ago."
Right. The only thing I have that I don't like about Bochy is there's no consistency in the lineup. There's no consistency in the batting order. There's no consistency. There's a consistency in the bullpen rotation, and that's about it.
But I think that's more of Rigetti than it is on Boch. Like I think that has more to do with
Probably.
Rigetti and Gardner than that.
But Bochy's always tinkering with the lineup. A guy might be hitting second for 2 days, and then next he's hitting seventh, and then he's hitting eighth, and then he's hitting third.
To be fair, though, when your team is batting so poorly like this year, you have to tinker. You have to figure something out. They're bad right now. They can't hit the broadside of a barn with a wiffle ball at this point.
And then when they do, they give up, 3 more runs and they're scoring.
Yeah, the other night
they score 17 runs in 2 games and lose both of them.
Right, and then you have your pitcher hit a home run, next pitch, boom, game side.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man, shit. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much what we have. Greg, I'm so glad you're back.
I am too. That was fun.
TJ, I'm glad you were able to help us out.
Yeah.
TJ, you'll be back on again for sure.
Hey, any word on what the Sirens did this weekend?
They played last night. Let's see if we can look it up and see. We do want to talk a little bit about WWE real quick.
We do?
Yeah, because it's Money in the Bank pay-per-view tonight.
Why do we want to talk about WWE?
Because the modern-day Maharaja is defending his championship.
The modern-day Maharaja.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal is the champion right now.
Whatever.
Scott Freshour asked us to talk about the modern-day Maharaja.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Fresh. I don't know anything about WWE anymore.
It's Money in the Bank. It's probably one of the better... It's all ladder matches. It's awesome.
It's all what?
Ladder matches.
Oh.
So they hang a briefcase above the ring like 30 feet in the air, and 6 guys have to try to get it. And then for the first time ever, they're actually doing a women's Money in the Bank ladder match as well. First time they're ever doing that. That's going to be bad. What do we look for? Sacramento Sirens. Sacramento.
I'll be taking a nap then.
I'll be drunk by then. That's okay, though.
That's all right. That's why you
Not off of Zima. That's
No.
for sure.
That's why you wanted to do the show early today.
Well, no, I have to show you the steaks I bought for barbecue
I
today.
saw them.
That picture does them no justice.
Is it just 2 of them?
Yeah, that's 2 steaks in that package.
Shit.
You'll see them before you leave. They are fucking amazing.
So just for you and Sheena?
No, me and my dad.
Oh, okay.
June 10th, the last update they put on their Facebook page. So yeah, there's no update yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what the website is for the team, for the league.
No big deal.
Yeah, Thursday's the draft. I can't believe it's already finally here.
I know.
Maybe we can do Thursday. Maybe we can do like a draft show if you're free. You probably have swimming.
No, I have morning practice.
Oh, then maybe we can do something.
Yeah.
I'm off at 4. Well, no.
Draft starts at 4.
Yeah, but most people are going to be either at the block party or at Joe Ganatis' draft party, so we'll let that ride, but we'll be all over it. I'm looking forward to it, though. Cool. Well, Greg, like I said, good to have you back.
Nice to be back. Thanks.
Guys, we will try to get back to our regular time, or maybe we may adjust the times. We'll start talking about... I feel like I'm getting too old to do 8 o'clock shows. It's getting tough. But we'll make it happen. For Greg Veroza, I am Greg Bull. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there that is a dad and who no longer has their dads. Happy Father's Day to those as well. And we'll see you guys next week.
Good afternoon, Larry.
Good afternoon.